All right, we're recording now.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, let me get this better. Sorry.
I know it's so hard to get lighting right.
Really, either I'm washed out or or you can't see me at all.
That's fine. You can
Okay.
get the general impression of Dan.
Right.
So maybe we could just go back to, we've been talking about this a little bit, but just to, if you could reiterate what you were just talking about in the fact that, you had asked me how I'm doing at the clinic, and I said that it's much harder than I thought it was, and that there's a lot of like doubt about whether or not you're doing it right. So I'd
Right.
love to, if you could just kind of repeat what you had said initially. I think that's really encouraging, and it gives really encouraging to other new therapists coming out that just feel like so overwhelmed and unconfident when they first start treating.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I was saying earlier, like I was telling you earlier, I think that's something that everybody goes through. Every new therapist goes through it. And I remember Kevin in tech class talking to us about that and saying like there will be times when you question yourself and you beat yourself up. Did I treat this correctly? Maybe I didn't do enough. And I remember him saying, don't beat yourself up because because you can't get everything right, and there are going to be times when you just doubt yourself. It's just part of the process, and I found that out firsthand because especially starting your own business, it's tough because you have so many working parts and so many things to focus on. I mean, not only do you focus on how you want to treat and trying to get better as a therapist, but you're also focusing on marketing, and you're focusing on the legal aspects of setting up a corporation and talking to lawyers and accountants and all that stuff. And so and you have to wear all the hats yourself if you're starting the business yourself. So there's a lot to get anxious about, and really it's a cliche, but you just kind of have to find what works for you, and you just have to go with the flow and just kind of find what feels right. When I first moved back to Philly from Florida, I moved back just to start my own practice, and I started my own practice back in October, Paragon Pain Solutions, and I had no idea where to start. Well, that's not true. I had a little bit of an idea where to start, but it's one thing to have an idea about like businesses that you want to connect and network with, and it's another thing to actually execute on that. So I didn't really know how I was supposed to market myself, and I ended up kind of just doing a scattershot thing where I was just trying a bunch of different things. I was trying
Uh-huh.
Facebook ads, and I was like emailing yoga studios and asking if I could come in and do postural assessments. And so I was just trying a bunch of different things, and you know, in my head was even crazier because there's all these ideas flashing back and forth. It's like which one do I act on, and which one do I focus my time on, and how much do I allocate? Um, but but yeah, it was making me nuts. And like I was telling you before, it wasn't until maybe the past few weeks that I really started to find my groove and find a path that that I know that I can follow to success. Because what I found that works for me is just going to gyms or yoga studios or any kind of fitness place and just offering to do free chair massage. Like I just came from
Oh.
LA Fitness, an LA Fitness that's not too far from me, and I just spent a few hours there, just with a massage chair, just saying hi to people, asking if they want a free 10-15 minute massage, and people seem to respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that because really any entrepreneur will tell you that you have to provide value to your customers, and it's something that I think communicates value. People know what a massage is. People, if you're interested, who doesn't want to turn down a free chair massage? Postural assessments, people aren't, that's not really something that draws people in so much. um,
Well, and two, that raises a question for me. So, if you're just doing like 10 to 15 minutes, how do you do that session and make it NST? Or do you just do like like, how do you know what to treat? Is it just based on their symptoms, or how do you approach that?
yeah, I can get a good idea just by looking at people,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of the problems are coming from, but really a lot of it comes from palpation. And I'm not, yeah, and obviously we didn't learn NST chair massage techniques.
Yeah.
Although we did do chair massage, we did an event an AMTA event, I think. Or no, it was an FSMTA event with Kevin where we
Oh,
did
okay.
massage. But the thing about NST is it's not really about the actual techniques that you use. At least that's my interpretation. I think Randy would kind of agree too, and Kevin. It's more about I think Randy's actually said this before. It's more about the mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
you know through your NST education, you have your anatomy and physiology knowledge is way more advanced than 99% of massage therapists. And I know that just from working in spas that and just talking to other massage therapists. And that's another thing that Randy and Kevin said, that when you talk to massage therapists, you'll realize how much more you know than them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's true. You can tell by their reactions and just by interacting with them that your knowledge is much more advanced than theirs. So not only do I kind of know where to go, but I can kind of feel what they need. Like usually most people, their scalenes are on fire. Like
Mm-hmm.
most people are under a lot of stress. Most people are pushing themselves physically in the gym beyond their limits, and so the combination of those two things have a lot of people just constantly tense in the threat response. Scalenes tense, upper traps, all of this kind of tight. So usually that's where I go first, and I treat scalenes, upper traps. I do a lot of rib mobilizations. I really work on people's breathing with them. That's a
Oh.
big thing because it's a good way to kind of get people back into their bodies and to realize how much tension they're holding. And I find that getting people to be aware of their breath and mobilizing the ribs and getting the whole breathing apparatus to work better reduces a lot of the overall muscle tension, really makes them feel better very quickly.
And when
And
you say mobilizing the ribs, are you talking about doing like lung compressions, or do you have a different way of mobilizing?
yeah, in a chair, I kind of do it from both sides. I kind of
Oh.
like I kind of get my hands on either side like that, and I'll just kind of compress the ribs, usually in sync with their breath. Like I'll have them inhale and kind of be aware of whether they're tensing up their scalenes and their neck muscles. And a lot of people, they don't even realize that. As soon as I point it out, they're like, oh yeah, I didn't even realize I was tensing up my neck when I
Mm-hmm.
breathed in. So just getting them aware of it, and then just kind of going through the motion, just bringing their ribs through the motion of expansion and collapse as they're breathing, kind of gets people a good, it gives them a good proprioceptive feedback to realize what the proper breathing mechanics are.
Oh,
And
cool.
I find I get really good quick results doing that. And once you do that, people say a lot of the same things to me when they get up. They go, "Wow, that was amazing! I've never had a massage like that before." So again, it's like people don't want to hear about neurosomatic therapy because nobody knows what that is. And you
Yeah.
say the words neurosomatic therapy to people, and their eyes just glaze over, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh," you know. So I find that people have to feel the difference for themselves, and I think so. At least for me, I found that chair massage is a good way to do that.
Oh, interesting. So did you have to go through the process of like the scattershot approach and trying a bunch of different things in order to find what worked? I mean,
Yes.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and and you said it's like it's individualistic for the person. So it's like probably people listening to this can't be like, okay, chair massage is where I'm going to find all my clients. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like you have to go through the process as a business owner to see what resonates with you and your clientele.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it could be that chair massage works for you too, but it could be that you have a more refined niche that you want to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I find if you've come from another kind of movement discipline, like whether you've been a personal trainer or you've done yoga or Pilates before, you kind of have an advantage over people who are coming in as a fresh therapist like me, because you already have a community that you're familiar
Mm-hmm.
with, that you can kind of go back to and bring NST to. Like that's what Sheila did. She started out in yoga and Pilates, and she brought NST back to her clients from there into that whole community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like Casey was really involved in the gym community in Sarasota, so he
Ah.
kind of just brought it back to there. But they both kind of told me the same thing. They said, Sheila said one of the first things she told me when I first became a therapist was like, yeah, it takes about a year, and you just have to give away treatments for free. She told me I was just treating people for free for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
just to get the word out, to get people familiar with what she did, and getting them familiar with how the work is different, and how beneficial it really is. And Casey said the same thing. again, and he told me this, but again, applying it to myself is different than hearing it from him. But yeah, I remember when I was working with him in Sarasota, he told me, yeah, how I got started. I just went to different gyms and I just kind of set up a table and just assessed people and talked to people and gave people little treatments. Um, but but yeah, it was one thing to hear that, and it was another thing to actually do that. Because for me, bringing a table in is it's kind of bulky and like I don't know. I didn't really know how I wanted to present that to people. So again, when I first came back, I was emailing gym owners and yoga studios, and I was saying like I told you, I just want to come in and do postural assessments. Not a lot of people were really jumping on that because again, that's not something that a lot of people can see that people would be interested in.
Yeah, they don't see the benefit of it right
No,
away.
no, they don't. But again, chair massage is something like, yeah, free chair massage, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy with having my members get free chair massages. Yeah. So again, I got a much better response doing that. And I think the reason why I didn't want to give away free massages was I also got the conflicting advice from some people that you shouldn't give stuff away for free. You don't want to devalue the therapy, and that's true to a certain extent. But you have to find where that balance is for you. Because I've also found that giving people discounts if they sign up that day really helped me book people right there on the spot. So you create a sense of urgency. And again, I had to find where that price point was that was a deal that was enticing enough to get people excited enough to sign up away. Because if it's not enough of a discount, then people aren't, they're not going to feel the urgency. But if it's a significant enough discount, then they're going to go, oh yeah, I got to sign up today to get the deal. So yeah, you just got to find what works.
How did you decide how to price your services in Philadelphia? Did you take what we were charging in Florida, or did you see what other therapists in the area are charging, or how did you, or just figure out what you need?
I just took I just went by what therapists were charging in Florida. And so I price my sessions at $120 per hour. I think that's pretty fair. Even when I talk to people up here that that are really familiar with this market up here, I tell them that, and if they're familiar with what I do, they go like, oh yeah, that's pretty fair. Because most practitioners that are as skilled as I am, or even a little more skilled, are charging $150 or even close to $200 an hour for their specialized services. So it is a bargain because and I know how valuable this work is and how well trained we are. So so it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a very fair price for our level of skill. So yeah, that's just something it's totally personal to you, and you really just have to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah. Well, and could you? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, it has to be a price that you feel comfortable enough charging people, but that you also feel like is fair to you. Because it's very easy to downgrade yourself and to lowball your own prices in order to satisfy people. But you have to realize when you're just trying to satisfy cheap people, and when your price is actually too high. And again, that's just a really personal thing. Like I was telling you, initially my first sessions are $140. That's my price for the initial session. I kind of got that from Casey, charging more for the initial session. And the idea behind that is that the initial session is more evaluation. You're looking at MRIs, you're consulting with them. So there's a lot of extra work that you're doing that most therapists are not going to do. So, and you're also kind of testing out the person to see if you're worth their time and vice versa. So that's where that kind of extra fee goes. And then each subsequent session is $120. And most people kind of like that because, it's kind of a relief that each session afterwards is cheaper. So that,
do you do an hour for the initial assessment too?
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's an hour including the assessment. The assessment usually takes between 10 and 20 minutes, maybe tops.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time is all treatment. But yeah. So with this deal initially I was doing a deal where I just said I'm not going to charge that extra $20 fee. I'm just going to charge you as if it's a regular session. $120 for the first session. But I found that wasn't enough to get people excited. So what I've been doing now recently is doing $89 for the initial
Okay.
session if you book that day during one of the live events that I do.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise the initial is going to be 140 like it usually is. So that's a good deal. But the difference between $140 and $89 is pretty significant.
Yeah.
And it's still fair to me, I think.
And do you find the people that take advantage of the discounted deal, do they rebook with you at the 120 right after that?
You know what, that's something I'll find out because I haven't been doing this for that long.
Sure.
Yeah, I've just been finding all this out in the past week or two. So,
Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, and could you talk a little bit about how long you've been out of school and your progression as a therapist, like where you worked when you got out of school and how you ended up where you are today in Philadelphia?
Yeah. So when I first got out of school, my plan was initially to go to the school and then to graduate and then come right back home to Philly and start my practice.
Mm-hmm.
Randy approached me pretty close to graduation, and he asked me to if I wanted to work evenings at the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, yeah, sure. So I jumped at that opportunity, and I started at St. John Clark Pain Treatment Center right after I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
I got a job at it was a little startup massage company that had a little space inside of a yoga studio in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
So I started out at those two places, and I figured that the other massage job would be, like quicker cash, so I could, like more of a reliable income, because at the clinic you have to obviously go find your own clients for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely a learning curve working in more of a spa type environment, and I realized.
Did you have to do draping and stuff?
Yes, you do, and I'm pretty good at it now. Like, I'm really good at it because I've worked in 3 spas since then. But yeah, it's I remember Randy telling me way back when I got the first spa job. He was like, yeah, you're gonna get tired of that real quick. He was like, yeah, that's not for you. That's not where you belong. And he's right. But I find for me, it's really, as much as I love being an entrepreneur, and I do want to have a business that is totally independent, and that's my sole source of income.
Mm-hmm.
or my major source of income. It's tough to get out of the employee mindset. It's very secure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of security, at least mental security, in being an employee and getting a steady paycheck. And that's another thing where you have to kind of find the balance, because if you come right out of school and you need to start earning money, but I say by all means, go work at a spa, go work for a chiropractor, go find a job just so you can get your hands on people, and just so you can, earn a little bit of money and not have to drive yourself crazy worrying about finding clients.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very easy to get comfortable there. And I find that I can't stay at those places for too long, because I don't take a lot of rules very well. And the style of treatment that we do, I don't think fits that environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't last too long at the place in Tampa. I ended up getting the job in Sarasota with Casey, and Casey really, actually, he just had so much overflow from his practice that he needed somebody to kind of put people onto somebody else's books, so he could take some of the load off of himself. So a few months after I graduated, I started working with Casey in Sarasota, and then I left the other place. And since graduating, I spent an extra year and a half working at the 2 clinics, both at St. John Clark and at the Sarasota Pain Treatment Center.
Mm-hmm.
And those were definitely the most important. I found them more. It was more educational almost than being at the school, because it's very. Not only was I learning about how to actually apply the therapy in a real clinical setting, but I was learning about the business side of things, hands-on, from 2 people who were successful in the business. So that was major, being able to work at both of those places.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do value the time I spent at the spa, because one thing it did for my treatment is it taught me to be more integrative in the way that I treat. I think part of the problem, at least part of the problem I see with the way that NST is taught, is that we're taught how to treat individual muscles, which is great, but you're not necessarily taught how to connect everything and turn it into an integrative treatment that involves the entire body. At least that's the problem I had. So working at a spa kind of showed me how to make a treatment more integrative and make it and also make it more soothing, because it's important that the client is comfortable and that they're in a relaxed state. I think sometimes the clinical setting can be a little bit off-putting to some people.
Yeah.
So there's something I like about the spa setting because it's soothing.
Yeah.
So that's what I took.
And could you give me a couple examples of like how that informed your treatment? Like when you treat somebody, do you do like relaxation stuff with them now, or how do you help soothe them?
I do a little bit. The first thing I do is I work with them on their breathing. I say, like, I like to start people face down a lot, and I just say, okay, we're gonna get into your breath. Let's do a few breaths in and out, and I say, let's do a count of 3 on the inhale and a count of 6 on the exhale. Really try to focus on the exhale, because that kind of breathing where you're emphasizing the exhale, that really helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system and really calms people down. So just doing that kind of gets people into a more receptive state where they're not so anxious and they're kind of more relaxed and in their body. And I find the treatment works better that way.
Nice. Yeah. I come from a yoga background, so it's like, but sometimes it's like I have like this bucket in my mind. Here's my yoga learning, here's my NST learning, and like there's so much crossover, but my mind just doesn't plug them into each other for some reason. So that's really good. Good reminder.
It will it'll get easier because I found the same thing with me. So in addition to doing NST, my intro into the health and fitness world was NST, but I've also been doing the Reembody program, which I think is excellent. And that's given me a lot of tools I can use from a mindful movement standpoint. And I find that very helpful because people want to know what they can do for homework. And the stretches that we learn in school are okay, but I find that they're not really great for getting people into their body and getting them to feel these changes themselves and be able to utilize these new ranges of motion that the soft tissue work is getting them. So I feel like Reembody really helps with that. It really helps, at least for me, it's given me the tools to like teach people proper gait, to really show people how their hips rotate and how their hips drive rotation in their pelvis and then in their upper body. And I've found that doing that kind of stuff with clients before and after NST treatments really gives them even better results than just doing it by itself.
How do you deal with patient compliance with homework? Like, have you found the secret to getting them motivated to actually do their homework?
Getting them to feel the difference. Getting them to actually, and again, that's where I think Reembody has given me a lot of good tools, because at least for me, it's given me something that I can work with patients, and just the act of them getting up and using their own body in a new way and feeling what that feels like really gets them excited, and it gets them to trust you. It really gets them to buy in too, because it goes, they go, oh wow, this is different. Like I don't remember ever being able to do this before, and the pain's gone. Yeah. So maybe there's something to this. Maybe I need to keep doing this. Yeah. So I found it's very helpful.
Yeah. Man, so just listening to you talk, I'm like, I would think you'd be insanely busy and have like patients coming out of your ears. But I was like, when we first started talking, you said like your first few months starting your own business were a little bit of a struggle building that up.
Yeah.
So
it's still a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about that? So you've been in business since October, is that what you said?
Yeah, I've been in business since October. I started working at a spa in late December, but I recently left there, and again, it was a lot to move and start my own business, and
Yeah.
the move took a lot out of me financially. So I really just needed some source of steady income.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I found myself getting comfortable just receiving a paycheck and falling into the routine, even though I wasn't happy there. And even though that I knew that my skills were kind of being wasted at a place like that. But again, it's, for me, all my life, I've been an employee up until now. So it was comfortable, even though I wasn't happy there. So it took a lot for me to just be honest with myself and go, you know what, that's not the right place for me. And I really just need to focus on, working for me and, and finding my own voice in my business.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's what I'm trying to do now. And it seems like the wheels are turning. So yes, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
What does your treatment office look like? Like, is it one room in an office, or how do you have it set up?
I'm working out of a chiropractor's office. So I kind of like the arrangement because I'm paying rent on a per session basis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that, like, as I build my client base, it's a good thing because I don't have a monthly commitment. It's really just however many clients I see in a month.
Nice.
Once I start getting more of a steady client base, then I think I'll be able to negotiate like a monthly thing. But yeah, for now it's a good arrangement. He's a pretty busy chiropractor here in my neighborhood. It's only less than a mile away, so it's perfect.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I knew right away when I came back home that I wanted to start my business in my neighborhood where I grew up. I didn't want to have to drive anywhere else. And I knew that I was going to establish myself here, and I was going to just get my name out there to the point where people are going to come to me. And I think that's still possible. So,
do you know how long it took Casey? Because I know like my friend Annika works for Casey now, and it still seems like he's like booked 3 months out. Do you know how long it took him to build up like that kind of stack of business?
yeah, I think it took him at least a few years. I've seen a couple of his clients that saw him very early on, and I've talked with Casey about his beginnings, and yeah, he kind of started a very similar way. He just had a little room that he rented, and he just had a few clients a week, and again, he was just going out there, going to different gyms, and just getting his face out there, just talking to people, and just making it apparent what his value was and what his skill set and his knowledge level were. And that's what I'm trying to do. And it's really humbling, but it's great because you get out there and you just get to help people every day. And if you don't focus on the end result, if you just focus on, I'm just going to be the best therapist I can and just help people, then you find that the compliments start pouring in. Like even today at the gym, people are like, wow, I've never had a massage like that. That was amazing. Thank you. So even that, just like that helps a lot. It really helps reassure me that I'm on the right path. And it's really just about being consistent and just continuing to just plug at it. Cause that's what Casey did. That's what Sheila did. That's what Randy did. And Randy told me the same thing. Randy's path was, he did public speaking. I think he told me he went to different Rotary clubs, and he spoke at the Rotary clubs around the area. And he said he was only seeing a few clients a week, and he was just doing maybe one talk a month. And then, it went, there were several months where he was just doing one talk a month and seeing a few people a week. And then all of a sudden it just exploded and it just took off. So yeah, it's just about plugging at it and keeping consistent, I think.
Yeah. Reaching that critical mass.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Randy says finding that you got to find your biggest fan. You got to find that one fan that raves about you and has an extensive social network, and they just tell everyone about you. So yeah.
I just wanted to look. I had a list of questions, so I wanted to see if there's anything here that we haven't covered yet. I promise it'd be only about half an hour, and I know we're at that time. Okay. Actually, I think that we pretty much covered everything that I had on my list. So any like parting words of advice you'd give for somebody that's like 6 months out or just graduating from NST to give them hope that they can actually be successful as a therapist?
Yeah. Keep it. I can't tell you what works for you, but you have to make the decision at some point, how committed you are to this. And that's true of anything.
Mm.
This isn't for everybody. I found, a lot of people enrolled in the school and thought maybe this was the thing for them, and then they ended up dropping out. A lot of people actually graduated from the program and are not actually doing NST anymore, for whatever personal reasons. So you really just have to ask yourself, is this what you really want to commit to for the next at least 5 to 10 years if you're serious about building a practice? And for me, the answer is yes. I love doing this work. I've never felt more rewarded. Like I said, I feel great doing it, even if I'm not getting paid. Like I got a couple clients today from the gym, but I just felt great being there, just representing myself. That's an amazing feeling, just to be doing something for yourself,
Yeah.
and not being under anybody else's wing.
It's kind of like you're in your flow zone there.
Yeah, it is like that, and it's a great feeling. It's a really great feeling. So I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But yeah, I would just say you just gotta, if you find that you're committed, if you're assured of yourself that you're committed to it, then just keep at it, and try not to let anxiety rule you. Try to just find what's comfortable for you and just keep plugging away on that path. Don't think you have to overwhelm yourself, because you're going to end up slowing yourself down in the long run. Just keep a steady pace, do what you can handle, and just keep plugging away at it.
And that's in all of the like podcasts and self-help stuff I read, that's like a theme that keeps coming up for me too, is just constrain and choose. Like narrow down your choices, choose, and then take action on them.
Right. And I'll tell you from experience, that's way easier said than done.
Yeah.
Because I've been reading all those posts for the past year or two, and it really took me just until recently to actually embody them. But I know, like Gary Vee talks about that all the time. He talks about not rushing it, not killing yourself with anxiety because you feel like you have to be successful by a certain age, or have a certain number of clients, or make a certain amount of money. Like, you just have to. Living well is more important than getting a certain number of clients or making money. Like, I'm happy in my personal life. Like I have a great girlfriend. We're expecting our first child.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
so like my life is good right now, and it's better than it's ever been. And that's that's career wise and socially and emotionally and all that. So so yeah, that's the important thing. That's really what it's about. If you're unhappy doing it, then either scale back on the expectations you're putting on yourself and the pressure you're putting on yourself, or maybe it's just not the thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one thing that Randy has told me too is, like 3 months out, I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm any good at this. I'm not like seeing what I need to see. I'm not treating what I need to treat. People aren't like walking out like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And he's like, Heather, it's been 3 months, or like, it's been 6 months, it's like, it's at least a year before you're any good,
Right.
So just getting like that, a little bit of a reality check, and realize, because I feel coming out of CNS, we get like such a great education, and we're told all the time, you're special, so much, you can help so many people. So it's all this pressure. You feel like, bam, out the gate, you should be like amazing and just like killing it,
Right.
But it's good to get that reality check that really, we're still very, 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 very new, and like the scheme of Paul St. John, who's been doing it for 40 years. So.
Right. And there are people that walk out of sessions with Paul that are unhappy. I've met them all the time. I've been treated some of them that, got tired of being treated by him, so they went to me. So not everybody is going to like every therapist, and you have to find, my girlfriend's also a therapist. So she, like, I like what she says. She says, and she has her own business that's, pretty successful. And she told me, yeah, you just have to find your people.
Yeah.
Like, because if they're not your people, then they're not worth treating. And not everybody is the right patient for every therapist. So again, you have to find the right fit as far as patients.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you'll get it. It'll change. I promise. And like I said, like the good thing about working at a spa, like a place where you're just doing a lot of volume as far as treatment, is that you really get experience just getting your hands on bodies, and just like really, if anything, just your palpation skills increase exponentially, because you're treating so many people. Even if you're not doing all the things that you could do in a clinical setting, or in an NST clinic, you're still getting about very valuable experience.
Yeah.
So it's worth it for that too.
Yeah, that's really good feedback. Well, thanks
Yeah,
a lot for taking the time to talk to me, Dan. I really appreciate it. And I think anybody that's graduating from CNS or any other new therapist will appreciate the ray of hope
yeah,
that it gets
good,
better.
good. I'm glad. Yeah, I hope I can help because
Yeah.
I know how it feels.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd love to talk to you more. There's so many things you said that were interesting, but maybe we'll have to do another session sometime because we need to
Yeah,
dive down the rabbit hole of re-embody and all of
sure.
that I'm
Yeah,
super fascinated about. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whenever you want to, just hit me up and we'll schedule that.
awesome. All right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks a lot, Dan. Have a great night.
Yep, you too. Good night.
Bye.